it grows tax-free. And when you spend it, there's no capital gains tax and there's no withdrawal taxes. So it's triple tax advantaged and really a perfect fit for Bitcoin, right? For an individual that has their own high deductible health plan is $4,400 a year. So you can contribute $4,400. This year, if you're a family, it's $8,750 that a family can contribute towards their HSA.
That's 0.1 Bitcoin.
The fidelity stat is that couples need more than $300,000 in retirement for healthcare costs alone right now, based on the current spending numbers. So when we did one in the end of August, we said anyone around the world, if you walk 50,000 steps, you earn 10,000 sats. And we had over 600 people completing the challenge all over the world. So it's like 6 million sats right there that we handed out directly. We can really serve a lot of Bitcoiners and ultimately hold value in Bitcoin for your health. And so we're all about this connection, sound money, sound health. Yeah, I think in-person community is great. These times when Bitcoin's dipping, it's like, okay, look around, who's building in the space, who's into Bitcoin right now, but we need to widen the tent. We need more people to discover it because it's just like your health. I mean, you have to opt in, you have to decide to put in the work.
This episode is brought to you by MicroSeed, the smartest way to back up your seed phrase. All right, listen up, Bitcoiners. Your keys, your coins, but is your seed phrase truly safe? Introducing MicroSeed, the smartest way to store your 12 or 24 word seed phrase. Stamp your entire seed phrase on one tiny, indestructible washer, titanium or stainless steel, waterproof, fireproof, crush-proof, small enough to hide anywhere. No guesswork, precise alignment, built to last forever. If your seed phrase is on a piece of paper, that seed phrase can get destroyed easily. With MicroSeed, you get an entire kit to stamp your seed phrase onto this washer. It comes with everything you need, from a hammer to the washers to the stamper. It's never been easier before. Take real self-custody and protect what matters. It's time to take control of your own seed phrase with MicroSeed. Use code TBB, as in the Bitcoin broadcast, TBB, for a discount. Go to microseed.io. For the link, go to the description below. For the Bitcoin broadcast, I'm your host, Vince. Today we have on Jon, one of the founders of Sound HSA. I'm kind of looking forward to this because in the little bit of research I did, I was like, man, you guys kind of have some cool ways that you could be buying Bitcoin. So I'm kind of excited about that, especially with this Bitcoin dip. But first of all, how are you doing today, man?
Yeah, doing great. Thanks for having me on, Vince.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you mind just giving me a little bit of background about yourself, how long you've been in Bitcoin, and how you, and I know he's not on right now, but how you and Stuart decided to kind of jump into, I guess, healthcare and Bitcoin combined?
Yeah, absolutely. Grew up from the Chicagoland area. Went to Northwestern for school, and out of school, I was working on healthcare consulting. So I was helping hospitals and health systems with their strategic planning. And even then, and being exposed to the centralization and the C-suites and this growing industry that now accounts for $5 trillion a year in spend in the US, we're approaching 20% of the economy. It was still pretty opaque in terms of the financials. So I went and worked at a Blue Cross plan and Medicaid, which is the government-sponsored plan for low income, across Illinois, New Mexico, and Texas. And then got into medical supplies, and the pandemic hit. And our factories were in China. And so we had a little bit of an advance notice that COVID was coming when the workers didn't come back from Chinese New Year 6 years ago now, which is pretty wild. Yeah, so throughout that time, then I was doing a master's in health economics and policy and really studying other health systems around the world and comparing, contrasting how healthcare is delivered, who pays for healthcare, what are the outcomes across different countries. During that 2020 period, I was getting married, finishing up the program, and just started asking the question, what is money? And that's when I really started going down the Bitcoin rabbit hole the end of 2020 and really throughout 2021, that by the time that they started calling people back into the office, because I'd been to El Salvador for the first Adopting Bitcoin conference, November of 2021, and just said, you know what, this is I'm meeting my people, I'm meeting Bitcoiners, and I want to try to do something at the intersection of Bitcoin and healthcare. Because even at that conference, there was no talk really about healthcare specifically. Obviously, you have financial services and you have energy markets where Bitcoin starts, but here is an economy that is now even still 2.5 times Bitcoin's market cap and the annual spend. There's so much administrative waste and fraud and bloat. And so I wanted to try to position myself to bring Bitcoin into healthcare, and actually did a yoga teacher training. My wife and I were traveling out of the country. We're in Africa and in Bali, and had an opportunity to come back and work for Crowd Health in Texas. And so Crowd Health is an alternative to health insurance. Helped get a lot of Bitcoiners onboarded there. And from there started working more closely with doctors and dentists and other small businesses to help them integrate a Bitcoin strategy. And so I started my own consulting firm, Satoshi Health Advisors, and have helped over a dozen businesses get onboarded into Bitcoin, particularly combining my background in health and healthcare and helping direct primary care, smaller business owners accept Bitcoin for payment, stand out and market to Bitcoiners, and save in Bitcoin, and how that can really strengthen their business long term. And so with the HSA, it's an interesting market because it's existing already. Right? There's 40 million HSA accounts. These are health savings accounts were instantiated in 2003, whereby if you have a high deductible health plan, so you do still need to have insurance, and get in that piece of it. But if you do, which 150 million Americans get health insurance from their employer. So the employer market also dominates here. About 60% of HSAs are garnered through employers, 40% are individuals. But these are accounts that you bring with you beyond your relationship with your employer. You can contribute tax deductible yourself or get pre-tax dollars from your company. It grows tax-free. And when you spend it, there's no capital gains tax and there's no withdrawal taxes. So it's triple tax advantaged, and really a perfect fit for Bitcoin, right? Because this is an account where you're saving for your future healthcare needs. If you spend your HSA on any eligible medical or health goods, and that bucket keeps expanding over time and continue to expand here with the Big Beautiful Bill, you can have this piggy bank really where now you can save in Bitcoin and take care of your future self from a health perspective. And so while the HSA has been in existence this long, you can go and get an account at Fidelity and get exposure via the ETFs, but no one was putting actual Bitcoin, real Bitcoin, within this self-directed triple tax advantage market. So Stu Lackey and I got connected a year ago. And he had this idea a few years ago, but ran into some challenges on the regulatory side and finding a trust partner that would ultimately help really want to work on this and make this happen. But we were able to find this year the right trust partners to bring Sound HSA to market, and we can get into more details there. But really, it's an ideal fit to be pairing Bitcoin, which is in my mind the best money that humans have ever discovered. We have absolute scarcity, 21 million Bitcoin, and put this in a structure that now won't be taxed. And we're all going to age. We all have our health needs. And ultimately, when the individual spends on their health, they can spend it where they value most. And one of the issues of the healthcare system in the US is that since fiat was introduced in 1971, the rate of self-pay, of individuals paying for their own healthcare, has dropped from 60 to 70% down to 10%. So 90% of healthcare spend is a third party, whether it's the government or health insurance company paying on your behalf. So naturally, there's going to be information asymmetry. There's going to be moral hazard. There's going to be fraud. There's going to be people trying to game the system. So ultimately, a way to fix some of that is taking value in your own hands and then spending it with providers or doctors or chiropractors, or now you can buy a sauna, you can buy your beef. I mean, all of this is HSA eligible. Some of it you might need a letter of medical necessity is kind of the terminology there. There's actually a company called TrueMed that's been doing this kind of on the fiat side for a little while. So we're excited to bring also this marketplace together of Bitcoiners who, and curious to hear too for your own journey, as you get into Bitcoin, you often change some of your habits. You think longer longer time horizon, right? Low time preference. You're taking care of your own health, taking that personal responsibility for your health, just as you take personal responsibility for your money. So that's really what we're about at Sound HSA, is connecting sound money and sound health and enabling individuals a vehicle and a really streamlined and seamless user experience to get real Bitcoin within this tax advantaged account.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot in there that you just described. I know HSAs are so cool, but so many people don't know about like all the benefits of them. It's crazy. Like the amount of people I'll talk to, and I still don't even know like all the benefits. And I've had an HSA for I don't know how many years through my wife's work, and like I don't even know how I could go about investing like a lot of that money. And that's super cool that you guys are trying to build that onto Bitcoin. Can you kind of describe how that works? Like, so you get an HSA through your work or something, and like, how much money can you put into it? How do you use that money to like the best way to benefit yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2026, the contribution limits for an individual that has their own high deductible health plan is $4,400 a year. So you can contribute $4,400. This year, if you're a family, it's $8,750 that a family can contribute towards their HSA.
That's point one Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's a good amount of sats. Just get it. You can get more than 1 million sats or 10 million sats as a family. Exactly right now. It's a great time to be stacking Bitcoin. Absolutely. And so you can spend that, and there's different ways to do it. A lot of HSA providers have a debit card attached to their account, whether that's with HSA Bank or Fidelity. Or we don't have a debit card to start on our platform, but really the best use and ultimate hack of the HSA is that you can spend on your health today and save that receipt and reimburse yourself at any point into the future from your HSA account. So you can withdraw your money from your own account as another bank account. So for a Sound HSA user, for example, you can sell some Bitcoin you have or keep some money in fiat if you need, right? And if you need to reimburse yourself, you can do so if you can afford it. If you can afford to pay out of pocket, right, pay with your credit card, take some points, save the receipt, then you can reimburse yourself in the future. If you need to pay out of it now, you're also, it's a self-directed account. You can do that too. So it really is up to the individual, right, in their financial situation. But to be able to use the HSA as a strategic account still is in the general market is not being fully appreciated. So there's $170 billion sitting in HSA accounts. This is according to Devenir research that polls the big HSA players every year. And about half of that value is sitting in cash. Only a little under half is invested in any kind of assets. So depending on your HSA provider, they'll give you maybe some options on investment. Maybe it's a Vanguard fund, maybe it's something general. Not all HSAs will give you specific stock picking options even, right? Like, so that's really varied according to the HSA. And so for Sound HSA, we're keeping it simple. You can just invest and buy Bitcoin, right? Because we believe Bitcoin is the best money and asset to be holding within this account for the long term. And those products where you can invest in stocks already exist. So for us, really our approach is, hey, let's get real Bitcoin in this account long term. We'd love for people to be able to spend Bitcoin out of their HSA. That's more of a compliance question with the IRS, given now we have a physical commodity or digital commodity that we can spend in this way. But of course, technically that's very feasible. And you would now have no capital gains taxes. So a lot of Bitcoiners worries about keeping track of some things or needing to pay capital gains on their Bitcoin when they spend goes away when you spend out of the HSA. And one of the best things you can do now, starting in 2026, is you can spend it on direct primary care. So DPC is this model within healthcare where you're paying a membership to a doctor each month. Say it's $100 is, I'd say, around the average price. And you're getting concierge care. You're getting the attention when you need. You're getting the referrals or whatever else you need, rather than if you're kind of relying on big health systems. In general, you're going to have 7 minutes with your doctor, your primary care doctor, for a year, right? They're not going to have time for you. And that's just how the fiat healthcare system is is a mess right now, right? So you can now spend your HSA directly on direct primary care, which before the way is they considered it other coverage, the way that it got instantiated, kind of still playing towards the big insurance players. But there's been some positive movements on who's eligible. So if you have a bronze or catastrophic health plan, that's now eligible for HSA as well. So yeah, it's a really, I think, underutilized tool for sure. It's unique in the U.S. tax code, and while we've had Bitcoin IRA products on the market for more than around a decade now, we haven't had an HSA. So we think there's really an opportunity here to connect with Bitcoiners and also onboard a lot of people for their first time to Bitcoin. Maybe they feel like, oh, it's less of a risk to buy Bitcoin, in quotes, right? Because they don't have to worry about taxes. Oh, this is some money my company gave me, and okay, I'll put it in Bitcoin and kind of see what happens. But that starts an individual's journey into understanding how Bitcoin works, or maybe they go and they want to exchange or with Strike or River, or whoever else, that they work with outside of the HSA, but that we hope can be an initial part of the journey and part of the reason why outside the HSA, we also have a move to earn product, our mobile app. So you can earn sats for steps. And so in our next mobile release, actually, which is coming here in the next week or two, we've integrated the Breeze SDK. So you get a self-custodial Lightning wallet that now you can send and receive Bitcoin for challenges when we do our step challenges, or however else you want to experience the Lightning Network. So that value is outside of the HSA. That's not within the HSA structure. We've gone in more of how the HSA works as well and in our partners. But we think that a lot of people will earn their first Bitcoin, right? You don't even necessarily buy it. It's okay. I hit 50,000 steps for the week. I get 10,000 sats. And we've actually been doing that with a DPC practice down in Houston for the last few months. And that's been going really well. And a really good way for employees who a lot of their employees are clinicians. They're learning about Bitcoin for the first time through Move to Earn. So we think between both of those, both the HSA and as well as Move to Earn, we're out there really trying to orange pill this healthcare market that has traditionally been the slowest to adopt new technologies and still have a lot of bloat and waste in the system.
Yeah. Well, first, so I want to go down the HSA rabbit hole a little bit more. And then I want to do the, move to earn thing, because that's pretty cool. I lived in Houston for like a year, and they need to move a little bit more, to put it nicely. They're very sedentary down there. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, that's pretty cool though. You can earn just like 10K sats. I'm like, I do that easily, like 50K steps. That's sweet. But no, I want to stay on the HSA thing though for a second.
Sure.
So can you describe the triple tax advantage? Because you kind of brought it up, but how exactly does that work? And how does that work with, buying Bitcoin? Because let's say I have my $4,000 in an HSA and I decide to buy Bitcoin with that. What happens if I sell that Bitcoin and like put the money back in the HSA? I don't get taxed on that. I'm just a little confused on how all that kind of tax advantage would work with an HSA.
Yeah. So it's kind of similar to an IRA to start, in that when you're trading, quote unquote trading, or you have an asset within this self-directed account, there are no capital gains on the asset, right? So, but to start, that first tax advantage, which you don't have in an IRA, is that if you say of a Roth IRA, you're paying taxes initially, right? And then you're not getting taxed on gains. Or in a traditional IRA, you are not getting taxed initially, but then you're getting taxed later at your ordinary income rate right after age 65. So the HSA actually puts three combination tax advantages together, in that as an individual, when you contribute, it's tax deductible on your income, or or a company can contribute pre-tax dollars to you directly. The second advantage is there's no taxes on gains, so the performance of the asset within the account. whether that's Bitcoin or a stock or livestock or real estate or whatever else you want to put in the structure, right? And then there's no taxes when you spend. And there's also no forced distribution. So an IRA, actually at age 65, you have some forced distributions. You have to spend a certain amount. In HSA, that's not the case. And then in HSA, when you turn 65, you can spend your health savings account on something other than health or medical goods and services, but you would be taxed at your ordinary, like a traditional IRA. So you could say you really stack as much as you want, but you don't have a lot of healthcare bills. Then you can go and spend it on something else, but it's treated as a traditional IRA in that sense, but without forced distributions. So those are really the three. That's when we say triple tax advantage, that's what we're referring to. And then so within our product, we've partnered with Horizon Trust, which is a trust company out of New Mexico. They've been issuing self-directed IRAs and HSAs for several years. And when you go and open up an account with Sound HSA, you're opening an account, and from an IRS perspective, Horizon Trust is that custodian, right? The qualified custodian for your fiat to start. And then you're getting a sub account with our partner, Digital Trust. Digital Trust is the first company to release the Bitcoin IRA. They're actually the company that runs BitcoinIRA.com, if you're familiar with their platform. And so that ultimately is powered by BitGo. So if you're familiar with BitGo, so our kind of setup on the HSA side is this triangle with Horizon Trust and Digital Trust on the Bitcoin side. But when you buy Bitcoin, there's within the HSA, there's a 1% fee, right, on the trading fee. But then when you sell, while there's the 1% trading fee, there's no capital gains on that sale. So if Bitcoin goes up now from 70K to 100K and you need to spend the sats you bought now a year from now and Bitcoin's higher, there's no taxes. You'll see, hey, here's the value the exchange rate I bought Bitcoin, but there's no like cost basis, right, that you need to track similar to like if you were outside of this tax advantage structure. So hopefully that helps give a little more clarity on, our setup. We do have it's a $300 annual admin fee to facilitate the self-directed account, and then a $50 one-time setup fee. And this is pretty in line with other self-directed retirement accounts, that are out there on the market. And really, what we want to provide is a outstanding user experience, make this process that traditionally with trusts and banks are very form driven, very clunky. We really streamline that using digital signatures and helping the user move along this journey of whether it's transferring funds from a previous HSA or opening up a net new HSA with us, getting those funds in, getting it into Bitcoin, and really hodling, right? I think that's the best use case for the HSA and really how we're set up, right? If you need to go buy a prescription and just save the receipt, right? I think we'll get to the spending piece again, but generally those HSAs that are invested are being held for the long term. But the average HSA balance in the US is around $5,000. So a pretty modest size account on the cash side. But the average invested HSA account is around $20,000 to $30,000 sitting in the HSA. So from a volume perspective, maybe not as big as an IRA. There's the limits in place, but over time, and we have a calculator that can help demonstrate, not financial advice, but it can show, you can play around with some of the variables on where you think Bitcoin is going, where the CAGR is, how much you contribute each year, and then even what percent allocation you have into Bitcoin. You can decide that as a user. Do you want 100% all that value going into Bitcoin, or do you want to keep some in fiat because you think you might need a withdrawal for, other medical bills that might come up? So that's totally up to the user in terms of how they want to manage the account in the individual, but we're certainly there to help along the way and answer questions and I think really educate around Bitcoin. And as the regulation keeps opening up and more people are eligible for HSAs and what you can spend it on, I think really the unlock's going to be when we're spending Bitcoin directly out of the HSA. For now, that's not enabled. But again, you can convert back into fiat to withdraw.
Okay. So If I switched over, so first of all, let's say I have an HSA, can I just switch over my funds to Sound HSA if I qualify? Like, what qualifications do I need to be able to do that?
Yeah, so it sounds like you has an HSA through her company. So the main thing to look at is if it's considered a high deductible health plan, which for an individual, mean your deductible is more than $1,700 for the year, or for a family, $3,400 for the year. Generally, plans have much higher deductibles these days. The insurance market is struggling as the premiums go up. Younger, healthier people generally will choose the high deductible plan, which has the lowest premiums, and it's also cheaper for companies too. So those are the numbers to look at. And if Surety has an HSA, I mean, then you're most definitely eligible. But basically, you can have as many HSA accounts as you want. So even if, say, she's getting a match from her employer, you can keep that HSA account open. And then through our interface and with Horizon Trust, you can facilitate a direct transfer, bank to bank transfer. So that's better than a rollover. A rollover means you get a check and then you have 60 days to deposit it. There might be some tax implications. So generally the best thing to do, and we have this through our UX, is initiate a transfer and let us know, hey, this is where I'm going to be requesting and moving money from. And then it becomes a bank to bank transfer from whoever your current HSA provider is. And
Okay.
then you can contribute either way. Like you could contribute to the other HSA if you want to get the contribution match and then transfer it. It'll just be a little slower. Or you could just contribute directly right into your Sound HSA. Or you could split it amongst the two. The main thing to be aware of is across all of your HSAs, you can't exceed $87.50 for the year in your contribution. So it's ultimately a self-reported, right? It's individual between you and the IRS on these accounts. So we have some support there on saying, here's how much you've contributed, at least through our platform this year. So it's up to the individual to keep track. Okay, if you're going to be depositing in both places, just be aware of those contribution limits. But yeah, you could go ahead and get set up with the Sound HSA account and still keep the other account open if you wanted to.
Okay. Um, and then can I take custody of the Bitcoin? That's kind of weird to me if like you're using an HSA and then like you putting Bitcoin like in a cold wallet. Can you do that? Can you put it in like a hardware wallet? Or how does that work?
So right now we're leaning on digital trusts and slash BitGo's multi-sig cold storage custody. So it is still a custodial arrangement while the Bitcoin is held in multi-sig. We definitely want to work towards, and as more and more people tell us, hey, I want to hold my own keys to my HSA, we definitely that's on our roadmap for enabling that option. We did send a survey out to our wait list in the fall and found that about 50% wanted to hold their own keys within the HSA. So I think that's something that we'll definitely work towards either ourselves or with future partners to enable, because I think that is really, really important ultimately. So between kind of the regulatory compliance side, how that shakes out within how the HSAs are governed, and then customer demand, I think that will kind of determine the speed at which we're able to roll something like that out. But we're really the first product to have even real Bitcoin in the HSA, even if it's custodied. So I think having the self-custody over Bitcoin in the HSA, that's definitely the next step. But we're starting, stepwise approach here.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I mean, these things it takes time. Healthcare, like you said at the beginning, is like the most slow moving and frustrating thing to work with. It's so frustrating. We've been dealing with insurance all through like last year because of other things, and it's so frustrating. And so it would be nice to like actually have someone innovating and like be like, hey, maybe we can kind of change the tune of like, you know, healthcare can be beneficial and not just a pain in the ass. I don't know, but what kind of risks are there? Like, is there any risks that you guys have found to be like an issue with it? I know that's kind of vague, but I just don't know.
Risks in terms of health savings accounts or in terms of Bitcoin or what,
Well,
like for
I know
the,
the risks of Bitcoin. I'm like, is there I mean, I guess I guess the biggest risk, I can answer my own question, is potentially, you buy Bitcoin and it drops 50% in 3 months, like we just had, and then your HSA money just went down 50%.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the volatility in terms of fiat in the short term is definitely something to manage as an individual with an account, right? And I think a lot of our early customers are probably just going to smash buy as much Bitcoin as they can when they can, which is what I'm doing as well. But it's definitely a longer term play again, right? So anyone that's held Bitcoin for 4+ years has increased their purchasing power. And so I would say if this is money you really don't need to touch for a while, put it all in Bitcoin. If you do say, hey, I need this money and I have some kind of surgery or something coming up, maybe you do keep more of it in fiat, and that's okay, right? And it's still now going to be tax advantage. So it's, and maybe you're doing selling at a point before you have a surgery, or you're not converting all of it into Bitcoin. But yeah, I think in the short term, that's definitely a risk. But ultimately, it's with Bitcoin scarcity, it's getting as much, getting as many Sats as you can to your name, right? Staying humble, stacking Sats, and this is a really advantageous vehicle in which to do that. But it's certainly and it can be incorporated along with your, whether you're working with CPA or financial advisor, tax strategist, or RIA. Those are the kinds of people that we're looking to partner with early on too, that are helping Bitcoiners with this strategy and trying to say, where can I get more tax advantage Sats? Do I go and buy miners and depreciate the value of the machine, or do I go and open up an HSA and just put some fiat in there and convert that into Bitcoin? Because I know I'm going to age, I know I'm going to need healthcare, but it shouldn't be as expensive as it is, right? I mean, US is we're spending 13, 14 grand a year per individual, which is 2 to 3 times the average of other countries, comparable countries. You go somewhere else, you pay direct. It's a much better experience. You don't have the gatekeepers and all the challenges. So I think like there's no one policy that's going to change things. It's not just HSAs that are going to change things. I think in general, we need a decentralization of healthcare, and we need Bitcoin to be the base layer of value exchange within the healthcare economy. And typically you don't have price transparency in an insurance. You slap down your insurance card, you have no idea what that's going to cost, right? But now people are definitely wisening up, or going and saying, hey, I'm going to get a cash price for this, or I don't even, want to have this count towards my deductible. And, and even for me, for example, like I'm staying on as a member, and with my family as a member of Crowd Health, and I opened up my own individual health insurance plan just so I could get the HSA and contribute to it. But if, God forbid, something happens, but if I do need to use healthcare in general, I would just go direct, and I won't even slap down an insurance card. But that's just the reality of the regulation right now. I think eventually we'll get rid of the stipulation that you need to have health insurance to have an HSA, because the government's going to run out of money to pay for people's health care. I mean, that's ultimately the direction we're going. Medicare and Medicaid are $2 trillion a year combined in outlays. Right? I mean, it's crazy the amount of money we're spending on health, and now we're uncovering there's so much fraud. There's hospice, there's home health, there's all these agencies are uncovering. There's 20 practices in one building with a sign up and not actually taking care of people. So Medicare fraud is a big thing, but Medicare also pays the doctors and the hospitals and the clinicians less every year, and that's being subsidized by employer plans. So commercial insurance is paying 250% more than the government pays for the exact same service. So it's just it's an absolute racket, but it's unsustainable in general. And so all we can kind of do within the system now, I think, is kind of do what you can to save Bitcoin. And even whether that's tax advantage or not, it'll be better if it's tax advantage. But even if it's not, set aside some Sats for your health. You don't know what's going to happen. And I think also internationally, and this is where it gets exciting too for what we're doing, anyone around the world can download the Sound HSA app. They can log in with Nostr. So now they have you have your own public private key for your identity and for your data. And you can have this self-custodial wallet, powered by the Breeze SDK. And boom, you can experience Bitcoin, you can send money, value around, save and have like this health focused wallet, right? That's, even if it's not within the HSA, this is a way that you can save for your own health. And we'd love to see more. I've talked with doctors and dentists in a host of different countries, and being able to pay for health is a big challenge in a lot of places too. So I think Bitcoin globally has a lot of opportunity within healthcare. So while the HSA is a US only product, as we develop and as we grow a Sound HSA, we see a lot of ways to continue to support wellness. And part of that's the move to earn challenges. I think part of that can be saving your own healthcare data to your relay of choice, having that data encrypted, bringing that with you where you go. And the healthcare data market is also a huge mess, and another $30 billion market that is dominated by big players, Epic and Cerner, which is now owned by Oracle, right? So even the challenge of how do you hold on to your health records long term? 1 in 3 Americans' health data was hacked last year, right? And without it being hacked, and without, it's just like you start going down these rabbit holes and you realize there's so much that's broken within healthcare. And so everything I'm focused on now is really trying to integrate Bitcoin, integrate Noster into healthcare, really try to create more of these marketplaces where we can get people and get real value, right, into Bitcoin stored for future healthcare needs. And yeah, I mean, Medicare is slated to run out of money within the next 10 years. There's of course going to be other legislation and things they try to do to save it, but it's a huge drag on the economy. Sick population, right? 6 in 10 have a chronic condition, 70% are obese or overweight. And a lot of that's because of the food, right? And if you go read Fiat Food, Matthew Lisak, great book, and uncovering that. So, but even to see the Maha movement getting steam, the flipping of the food pyramid, all these other inputs into health being so important, to just eat real food, eat your beef, right? All these things. It's amazing to see that actually coming from the government, right? And RFK and HHS and CMS. So there is some change, but it's very difficult to get, certain entrenched organizations and institutions within the medical field to shift. But ultimately it's I think it will happen over time, but it's going to be a process for sure.
Yeah. Now I love it. It's like this is the first time that we've actually had someone, I guess in my lifetime since I've been paying attention, had someone in government be like, "Hey, maybe what you're eating isn't good for you. Like maybe this is poison." And the fact that I have to read the labels on food at a grocery store to make sure there's not like carcinogens in it and like glyphosate and like just like poison. It's insane that we have to do that. And that's just like normal just to be eating that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's very frustrating.
Yeah, it's horrifying. And yeah, we lived in Austin, Texas for a couple of years, and really connected with a lot of the regenerative agriculture movement. Even I'm wearing here my Regenaissance shirt, Ryan Griggs, and really bringing awareness to the ranchers that are doing grass-fed beef, and really trying to support local economy and local community. What Good Shall I Do is an amazing conference down in Austin, just west of Austin in Texas, that we went to for a couple years. And yeah, you realize, you see all the toxins, the glyphosate you mentioned, that are being sprayed on the food. It's really upstream. The subsidies that go towards the soy and the corn and the wheat that are all monocropped and destroying the topsoil. It's horrible. And yeah, it's really the food is such an important input. Of course, sunlight, moving your body, social connection, all these different things, putting yourself in an environment where you can really thrive as an individual, reducing stress, anxiety. That's where I found yoga to be really helpful. A lot of my journey in Bitcoin was also getting into yoga. So I've done some writing on this intersection of Bitcoin and yoga. But I think everyone, can find different tools that works for them. But ultimately it's taking that responsibility for your health and saying, I'm not going to outsource this to my insurance company or to my employer or my, or some magic drug or to the government. I'm going to figure out maybe what's challenging me and my health. Is it something I'm eating? Is it something I'm exposed to? Is it mold in where I'm living? Is it there's so many different things that could impact and react with the way that the America we were growing up in. So yeah, it is exciting to see a lot of the shifts. And I think what's cool about also the HSA is that, again, we can partner, and we're looking to partner with companies that are offering goods and services that are HSA eligible. And now we can really create these marketplaces where even if I'm not spending out of the HSA now, again, I can save that receipt, upload it to your Sound HSA portal, and you can see, hey, here's my unreimbursed value. Here's my receipt that now 10 years from now, even rather than paying, 70,000 sats now for my DPC a month, that now all of a sudden is collapsed in Bitcoin terms, but I have the value of paying $100 a month in 2026 when I go and reimburse myself in 2031. So that's really where I think the best use of the HSA is going to be. And just, yeah, trying to eliminate as many counterparties and any risk there as we can. And certainly having actual Bitcoin rather than ETF is one step. But I think, as you mentioned, the custody piece, we're excited to, we'd love to tackle that too. Yeah, it's your environment's important, but also, right, daily habits and just taking on, just moving your body can be such an amazing way to, get out of any rut you're in and just get back on a healthy track rather than trying to have someone else take care of it for you.
Yeah, I did recently I did an episode with Dr. Amoose, and
Nice.
that was so cool because we talked about like the benefits of sunlight and diet and
Mm-hmm.
going down those rabbit holes. And I'm actually interviewing I wish I was trying to remember his name, but he's in Colorado, and it's like the beef.com guy, and
Texas
I'm
Slim.
yeah, yeah, and
Okay.
I'm interviewing him, and, man, I wish I could remember his name off the top of my head, but,
No worries.
Tom Cattle, and so
Okay. Yeah, Tom
yeah,
Tabor. Yeah, he's working
yeah,
with
yeah,
them now.
yeah,
Yeah.
so, I'm gonna talk to
Nice.
him about, the beef, industry, and,
Awesome.
because I've switched to pretty much carnivore. I eat steak and eggs is pretty much my staple of my diet. I've seen so many benefits. It's been so nice.
That's
But then
awesome.
really quick,
Yeah.
are you guys with HSA? Sound HSA? Are you guys for the individual, or are you guys gonna be trying to like put this into companies even? Like,
It,
say, how could I get like my company to adopt Sound HSA so everyone in my company could do it?
yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. And while we're starting initially with this individual product that anybody can sign up. So here we're actually rolling out to our wait list in February. We have over a dozen customers so far in our beta. So we are live. We'll be opening up to the public in March. And then we're starting to have conversations with employers for their next benefit cycle. Because you're exactly right that, and it, as I mentioned initially, 60% of HSAs are garnered through your employment through a health sponsored employer sponsored plan. So that we think is a great entry point for us. So we'd love to have those conversations with companies. If you're providing health insurance to your employees, and especially you're a business owner that wants to orange pill their employees, maybe you're at a treasury company, or maybe you're somewhere else that you're a Bitcoiner and you've been looking, hey, how can I, I've sent podcasts or books or whatever. I can't get, my employees to just spend a couple hours hearing or thinking or looking at Bitcoin. Well, here's a way to put real value in their HSA account that's pre-taxed. And now they can get the option to buy Bitcoin within their health savings account. It's something that you're already maybe doing, but do it with us. Or even we could be a secondary option. Again, there's a lot of HSAs that are pretty integrated in like employer benefit tech stack. So even if you said, okay, maybe it's going to take a little longer to integrate, fine, we could be a second option, no worries. And you can make us an option for your employees that want to open up and have a Bitcoin powered HSA. So yeah, I think the employer space is going to be really interesting for us. And we're definitely all ears and starting to have those conversations with companies because the Bitcoin benefit stack, right? It's so important for companies. And so both the HSA and then also on the move to earn side. So wellness companies have been spending money on wellness for years, right? Maybe you get an Amazon gift card, maybe you get something else for going to your doctor or hitting certain goals. So again, with our mobile app, we have the ability to do specific challenges. So an employer could decide how many sats they want to give for how many steps a week. And there is another way, again, to have a wellness benefit. We know that the having at least 7,000 steps, it greatly reduces mortality risk across a whole host of different diseases. So even like the 10,000 magic number, like that's even high. Like even if you're getting like 5, 6, 7,000 steps, like that's really a tangible difference than the sedentary lifestyle of, oh, I'm only getting 1,000 or 2,000 steps. I'm really not moving my body. It's like, okay, I did I took a walk today. I went out, and did some errands. Right, I just moved my body to the extent that it really makes a big impact on health. So, yeah, we think both from the HSA and the move to earn side that companies can really orange pill their own employees to the extent they want, and then also enable that for a global workforce. So while the HSA is only relevant for U.S. companies, the move to earn we could certainly offer globally and encourage competition across multi or distributed teams across different countries. And here we have global money. We can pay it out at the speed of light to an individual's wallet that they control. So yeah, I think that it's uh, we're putting together different concepts and combining and really bringing Bitcoin into an area, again, healthcare, HSAs, wellness, employer wellness. These already exist, but it's to the extent that we can really infuse Bitcoin culture, but ultimately sound money and help more people think about what is money and why it's important to have money that you can control, and just reducing that future uncertainty, because we're all going to die. We're all going to probably get sick at some point. We have loved ones that are going to have something come up health wise. Everyone has their own experience, and the end, even particularly end of life care. I mean, there's so much spend that's unnecessary that is just getting pounded in our fee for service healthcare system. But the fidelity stat is that couples need more than $300,000 in retirement for healthcare costs alone right now, based on the current spending numbers. But that's, again, like if you end up, okay, the government's paying for this and now you're in the hospital and they're just going to do all the tests and do all the things. Not all that's always necessary either, right? So that's when you get the moral hazard of, okay, all the upcoding in the CPT codes and ICD-10 and the way that billing works in the traditional health system. 6 to 10% of every transaction goes to a middleman, way more than the 3% on the credit card, right? This is for your electronic medical record, the billing, all the people taking a cut in between that third party payment. So even just by bringing in Bitcoin payments, doctor's office, direct primary care, you can eliminate several percent off your costs, right? That makes a big difference for a lot of businesses in healthcare that have generally, if you're a physician or provider, can have low margins. And now it's, as they've had centralizing forces, you have to get bigger and bigger to negotiate your rate with the insurance companies. So if you can go direct to a consumer, which is the whole DPC market, that's starting to gain a lot of steam, a lot of traction, get employers that also self-insure their own plans instead of using third parties. There's a lot of exciting movement on that front. I am helping start as well a Bitcoin physicians network that doctors, it's physician-led, Dr. Mark Stephanie out of Minnesota. You can go to bitcoinphysiciansnetwork.org. We're going to be launching here pretty soon and helping docs connect with one another, learn about Bitcoin, really, and also put on a map, kind of like you see on the beef maps. If you go to the website, you'll start to see some doctors' offices. Hey, where can I go and spend Bitcoin directly with a doctor? Because I'm sure you had this in your, with your chat with Dr. Moose. He's providing virtual care online. And whether it's online or with brick and mortar, there's doctors out there. And it's generally a signal right now. If you're accepting Bitcoin, okay, this doctor's probably, questioning some of the top-down stuff that's coming out and actually going to really be invested in my health and create that value for value, that physician-patient relationship that's really been stripped out of today's healthcare system. So, yeah, that's I think those are the trends that are going to keep picking up. So we're actually we're going to be putting on an event at Bitcoin Park, April 8th for anyone interested in this intersection of Bitcoin and healthcare, talking about direct payment in healthcare and different business models, and then linked up with the Hint Summit. So Hint Health is kind of the top software for direct care clinics. There's more than 3,000 clinics using their software for billing and member management. And so we're trying to infiltrate there and be the ones orange pilling and say, hey, look, like this is how Bitcoin can strengthen all the things that you're already talking about. They're already saying the same things I'm saying on the insurance side, right? Or like the third party side or government side, and saying, I want to create a direct relationship with my patient. And you don't need so many people, right? Like as a doctor, I've been working with another doctor in my hometown for the last year and a half on this, and he's accepting Bitcoin. And you don't need, in a traditional world, a doctor has 2,000 patients on their panel, right? That's the 7 minutes a day. But you can maintain a practice even with a few hundred patients, a few hundred people, a few members that you're really dedicated to and helping them with their health. You can run your own business and have freedom and not be kind of a slave in the fiat healthcare system. And there's huge amounts of burnout, and we need doctors, right? And obviously there's AI coming, there's different ways to integrate it, but we're replace that human element of health. So yeah, I think those are some of the other trends just to touch on briefly, but I don't know if any of those kind of pique your interest, or it's like, man, healthcare is crazy. Let's stay away, but we'll talk about it here for a little while.
No. I mean, healthcare is. I don't know. I hate it. I hate the whole industry. I try to avoid it as much as possible. I just try to stay as healthy as possible to avoid it, avoid interacting with it. Um, can you? I don't think you really said it, but like the um, what is it called? The walk to move or
Yeah, move to earn.
move to earn. Yeah, can I just sign up for that and then just like start? I just like record my workouts or what? How does that work?
Yeah, so if you download the Sound HSA app in the App Store, you can either create a new Nostr account or log in with your private key. And if you go to the Health tab, you can see your weekly progress. And on the Move tab, you'll see any challenges that are upcoming or your previous challenges. So far, we've done a few global challenges, and we'll be doing another one starting now. In March, we'll start doing another one, a weekly challenge. Kind of each month, we'll probably have a weekly challenge. So when we did one in the end of August, we said anyone around the world, if you walk 50,000 steps, you earn 10,000 sats. And we had over 600 people completing the challenge all over the world. So it was like 6 million sats right there, that we handed out directly. And so what we're doing is we're using the native pedometer in the phone. So whether it's an iPhone or Android, and when you hit complete challenge, we're just verifying that that internal step count is more than the amount of the challenge. So we're not saving that kind of weekly data that's on the phone. You'll see it in the app, but it's not being saved. We have worked on a way of saving that step data to Nostr and your relay of choice in an encrypted way. So that's also coming in a future release, so that you can, starting with steps, but we think there's a lot of potential for other health data that people will want to have private control over using Nostr. But yeah, there won't be, so when you log in, um, you can definitely track your steps as like a regular step counter, but you won't necessarily see a challenge unless there's a global one ongoing, or if you're a part of a company, right? Like First Primary Care they're doing a weekly challenge. So now people that are part of that company, they'll see the weekly challenge, but not every user. So that can be tailored for companies, again, where you could always see a challenge if your company's paying you some sats to move your body, but we'll have to bring us in first.
Okay. No, that's super cool. I hope more companies do that kind of thing. More incentives just to even be healthier. But then if you can literally earn the hardest money, the best money created, like that would just be fantastic for everyone involved. I know we're coming up kind of on an hour here. Is there anything else you wanted to share about Sound HSA or Earn to Move, anything like that?
I'll just say, check out soundhsa.com. We've You can join the wait list. We are going to be reaching out to the wait list this week. But if you're ready to sign up, you can also reach out to me and the Bitcoin Yogi on X and Nostr, or Jon at soundhsa.com. Reach out to us. We're really excited to bring on board Bitcoiners, especially as our early customers who you already understand Bitcoin, right? You're here, you listen to this podcast, you're learning about Bitcoin, and we can help you along with our HSA journey. So yeah, we're super excited. We think that, based on, our own Stu and my own personal healthcare experience, but also with interacting with the Bitcoin community over the last few years, we can really serve a lot of Bitcoiners and ultimately hold value in Bitcoin for your health. And so we're, all about this connection: sound money, sound health, bringing the education piece, bringing different thought leaders in to just help you in your journey. So yeah, I think it's definitely, it's going to take a village, and but we're excited to, after about a year of since starting the company, to really get off to the races in having the first HSA where you can put real Bitcoin in your account. And yeah, so feel free to reach out with questions. And if you want to get signed up even in the next few weeks, let me know. Otherwise, we'll be enabling that out to the public come March.
Sweet. Yeah, this will come out in a couple weeks.
Okay, perfect.
So hopefully you guys are, kind of up and running and people can just start signing up. And I think it's super cool that you can, use that money to actually buy Bitcoin. So I'll be looking into it. That's really cool, man. I gotta ask you though, this is completely off topic of healthcare. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin right now? It's been fun. It feels good to feel something, man. I finally
Hmm.
feel something. I'm not I'm not just sitting there bored. I don't know. What are your thoughts right now?
Yeah, it's definitely, not for the faint of heart. We've got, last week was pretty rough, just seeing the price dip as much as it did, but there's there's other forces, there's players out there. Maybe it's paper Bitcoin, maybe it's people being over leveraged. Who knows? What's driving the price down? But ultimately, I think it's a great opportunity to stack sats at these price levels that I think a lot of us maybe didn't expect to see for a while or ever again. But it's pretty typical, right? It's the ninth time Bitcoin's dipped 50%. Every other time it's gone back up and hit a new all-time high. So it's just a matter of being patient, right? Don't get out over your skis, and just stack as much as you can for the long term. So it's definitely creates some spiciness and action, which is good. But I mean, it's seeing gold and silver trade the way it has recently too, and these are way bigger market caps than Bitcoin, swings way bigger than Bitcoin is itself. It just shows like what happens when money dies. Right? If you read that book from Weimar Germany 100 years ago, you'll see that there were these violent swings. Everyone thought they were getting super rich on paper, which for us is this fiat denominator. You have all-time highs in stock markets and in gold and silver and everything else, but really it's the denominator that's broken. And so I think we need to, Bitcoin needs to continue to grow, absorb more value that's out there in the world, suck out the monetary premium that's in real estate and that's in other goods that, really we just need a way to store our work, right? And spend and increase our purchasing power, let the technology bring down prices over time, and not have this inflationary theft that just continues day in, day out. And yeah, it's nothing, as Lynn Alden says, nothing stops this train. I mean, it's just going to keep happening, whether it's slowly or, all at once. It's going to happen. So the best thing you can do is just study Bitcoin, because it gives me a lot of hope, for the future. If we didn't have Bitcoin, it'd be pretty dark, but thankfully we do. And there's a lot of amazing builders in the space building different, products and services. So we're hoping to serve this, more niche of a market, but we think it can continue to grow because, again, everyone is spending on their health, and at some point in your life, and and the HSA is unique in the tax code, and it's triple in the advantages that it offers. So um, yeah, it's definitely exciting and interesting and brings different questions, people out of the woodwork sending text messages and whatnot. But it's just another opportunity to stack. And I'll just mention one other project I'm working on, excited to bring to Chicago, a Bitcoin co-working space and restaurant. And we'll be announcing more here soon. We got a spaces coming up, the Illinois Bitcoin Council tomorrow. Yeah, I think in-person community is great. These times in when Bitcoin's dipping, it's like, okay, look around, who's building in the space, who's into Bitcoin right now, but we need to widen the tent. We need more people to discover it, because it's just like your health. I mean, you have to opt in. You have to decide to put in the work, whether it's 100 hours learning about Bitcoin or you're going to go for a run. You have this analogy of proof of work, of just figuring it out yourself and deciding to put your energy towards it. So if anyone is listening that has been thinking about Bitcoin too, it's like, okay, this is a great time. Like, it's awesome that the price is dipping, because now you can get more sats for your dollars.
Absolutely. No, it's awesome, and I appreciate you doing this, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing. I love talking to Bitcoiners like you that are building in this space, in all aspects of, it's so cool just talking to people, from the beef industry, for healthcare, all the way to, like literally like helping out kids. Like, people are just building in all aspects, and they're incorporating Bitcoin, and it's working better than the fiat system. So it's so cool to see. But I appreciate you coming on, and I'll put all the links for you and Sound HSA down in the description. And but anything else, or is that pretty much it?
Yeah, no, I think that's it. Yeah,
Awesome,
check
man.
check us out at Sound HSA, and please be in touch if you have any questions. Happy to connect. Thanks so much for
Awesome.
having me,
Well,
Vince.
yeah, no, absolutely. Well, thank you guys for listening. Please like this video. Please give a comment below. See what you think. Share what you think about buying Bitcoin on your HSA. Share this with someone who could potentially, this could kind of change the trajectory of their company or their life. So share this with them. Please give me a little 5-star review if you're listening on Apple or Spotify. And I will talk to you guys next time. Thank you so much, man.
Cheers.